everyone, and welcome to another edition of Almost Martha. And today it's early and it's cold. I'm still having my coffee because if you're going to make a slow cooker soup, you got to start early. So we are going to make something today that's hearty and warm and delicious and very old-fashioned. We're going to be making a recipe I got from the New York Times called the Slow Cooker Senate Bean Soup. So this is a soup that they have served in the U.S. Senate dining room for over like 100 years, I think. We'll talk more about that later. But it's been a staple of that dining room. It is much loved by both sides of the aisle. And we're going to make it today. And it's super, super easy. So hang on, and we're going to make the very famous Senate bean soup. The recipe calls for navy beans. I couldn't find navy beans anywhere. So I Googled it and I got some small white beans, basically the same thing. You can also use cannellini beans. You can use Great Northern, but they're really big beans. These are small, and this is what we're looking for, small white beans. Now I'm gonna rinse these in a colander to prepare them to use. You wanna get them nicely rinsed to get some of that extra starch off of there. So we'll do that first. We also need, a small onion. I just, normally I would put this on the, on the stove and I would caramelize the onion a little bit, but it just says throw it in. So we'll do it the way they do it in the Senate dining room today, and maybe we'll improve upon it at a later stage. So that's a little bit more than a small onion. I like a lot of onion. So nice onion. We also need a russet potato, which has been washed and peeled, and then we're just going to quarter some of this up. Some of these you could cut small, and some you could leave slightly larger, because some of these we're going to sort of mash into the soup later to make it help thicken the soup. So this potato serves a couple of purposes. It'll help thicken the soup, and then we'll leave some potato in there so you can enjoy that in your soup. So let me just do this. Okay. So some of these I'll put in just some bigger pieces. They'll be easier to fish out when I want to sort of mash them into the soup. And these I'm going to dice a little smaller. These you want to be able to fit in a spoon. I'm just throwing stuff everywhere, aren't I? Okay. Oh, I forgot to put my apron on. I'll grab the apron when I go for the ham hocks. Very, very important ingredient. Ham hocks. Ham hocks. I had to go to two places to try to find them. The first place that I went to didn't even know what I was talking about. So that was interesting, even though it was a butcher, shop. So, but then I went to a different butcher shop, and of course they had several packages of ham hocks to choose from. And I chose a package. I know there's definitely a ring of fat there, but there's also some really nice meat on those ham hocks. And that's terrific because that will be great in our soup. Now, the recipe calls for 3 carrots chopped, just like you would, normally chop to put in a soup. And I love these little rainbow carrots because they're so pretty and they add, a different color, a different visual to the soup. So I'm just going to do enough of these that I think would equal about 3 carrots. I also like a lot of carrots in my soup. So I'm just going to chop some of these. Again, bearing in mind, this is going to fit on somebody's spoon, maybe with a piece of ham. So just be careful you don't get these too big. So these rainbow carrots are beautiful. You've got yellow, orange, white, purple. They really do make a beautiful presentation. They're also really nice roasted. So if you need a nice colorful dish for your table, this is a good one. This is a good one. So it adds a lot of color and depth. Okay, I think I have about the equivalent of 3 carrots there. So it goes right into the pot. And let me just add a little more. Into the pot. So now we have onions, potatoes, and carrots, and we're filling up our nice bowl here. So the next thing we're going to add is some garlic. It asks for about 5 cloves of garlic. I'm using my roasted garlic because that's just how I am. So I'm going to add just a tad more because roasted garlic is very mild. So I've just added those cloves in there. Now I'm going to open up my ham hocks. I'm going to put them in. So later we come back and we sort of pull apart these ham hocks to make that the lovely, sort of bite-sized pieces that we need. So this is really going into the pot for flavor. Because this recipe does not use chicken stock, it doesn't use vegetable stock. What we're really flavoring with is this ham hock. And you can see there's some nice fat and skin on there, but there's also some really good meat. So I'm going to put that toward the bottom, put it right in. I'm going to wash my hands. I'll be right back. All right. I've already added 4 cups of water, and I'm going to add 4 more. So it's a total of 8 cups of water. I'm going to also add 1 tablespoon of diamond crystal salt. This is that wonderful salt. It's really used for baking, but it's terrific because it just sort of melts completely. Quick dissolving. Okay. I'm gonna switch. Normally, this is a great tool because it can go almost in any jar, but this I think works better with the nice round one. That way I can get that nice level off. There you go. So that's going to go right in my water. Now, let's not forget those navy beans. I've washed them. I've rinsed them really well. And now we're just going to put those right in. Is this not the easiest recipe ever? And now I add a tablespoon of butter. Just throw it right in. There you go. And now we are going to add some spices. A teaspoon of thyme, dried thyme. I'm going to put that in. I'm a little short on dried thyme, so I also have some ground thyme. So I'm just going to add some of that as well. That will help. Okay. Smoked paprika. I need 1.5 teaspoons of smoked paprika. And this is going to add, a lot of flavor. That's 1. And a half. Okay. Later we'll add a little bit of vinegar to it, but not for a while. So I'm just gonna take a spatula and I'm gonna sort of move things around a little bit. And then this is gonna cook. These beans are dried, so they really have to cook a long time. They have to cook for about 6 hours. So that's a long cooking time. And they're gonna cook on high. So we're gonna cook this for 6 hours on high, and then we're gonna pull the ham hocks out. We're gonna, shred the meat, put it back in, we'll mash the potatoes, and then just let it cook for a little while longer. So the next step is very easy. 6 hours on high. So I will see you when the sun is much lower in the sky.
Let's talk soup. For more than 100 years, one tradition has quietly simmered in the heart of the United States Senate: a simple, hearty bowl of Senate bean soup. Every day, without fail, this classic dish appears on the menu in Senate dining rooms. And while its origins are a bit hazy, the story most often told begins in 1903 when Minnesota Senator Newt Nelson shared his favorite recipe with the Senate chefs. The ingredients are humble: navy beans, hot water, smoked ham hocks, braised onion, touch of butter, and salt and pepper. But the meaning behind the dish runs deeper. There was a time when senators regularly broke bread together, gathering around shared tables rather than partisan lines. The act of sharing a meal has long been recognized as a universal way to build trust, foster community, and open channels of communication. In the Senate, these meals created a rare, neutral space, somewhere members from opposing parties could connect as people first, lawmakers second. Conversations over food built relationships and sometimes understanding. A modest bowl, a long tradition, and a reminder of a time when coming together over a simple meal helped bring a divided chamber just a little bit closer together.
Vastly different scene outside because about 6 hours has passed and my beans have all cooked properly. I've gone in and I've fished out the ham hocks, which have all sort of fallen apart quite beautifully, which is what you expect. So I'm just gonna remove some fatty pieces, and I'm gonna shred the ham a little bit because we want this, of course, to be in a soup, right? So we're gonna get little pieces of ham. We're just gonna pull this apart. We don't want big, gigantic chunks, and we also don't want big, gigantic chunks of fat. So we're gonna go through this sort of piece by piece, and we're gonna remove the fat, keep the lean, and we're just gonna shred this ham up just sort of by pulling it apart because it's ready to be pulled apart, thankfully. And then we'll just discard all the big pieces of fat. I have to tell you, this house smells so good right now. Everybody's starving because we've been smelling this now for a few hours, and boy, does it smell good. So this, I think, is going to be a winner, and it was just so easy to put together. So this is, about the most active thing that you do with this soup. So this is it's a good finish. So I've not only fished out the ham hocks, I've also fished out some of the white beans and some of those big potato pieces that we put in here, because we want this soup to also thicken up just a little bit. And we're going to make that happen just by mashing some of the beans and some of the potatoes. So that will thicken the soup up. So once I do this chore and I get rid of the fat and all that good stuff, I'm going to put all of this back into the soup pot and just let it sit, for about another hour or so. We have just a little bit before we're going to eat, so we'll just let it go back, let it thicken up with the added, mashed potatoes and beans. And then we will be ready for some really good eating. And when I get to my potatoes and stuff over here, I'm just going to take my fork. I'm just going to mash it up, and then we'll just stick it all back in the pot. Super easy. No special equipment. And look at your ham hocks when you buy them, because I have seen them where, boy, it was just a lot of fat. And here's a nice bone that comes out of there. And these, luckily enough, were pretty meaty ham hocks, which is fantastic. So I'm going to get a lot of ham in this soup as well. It is called ham and bean soup, right? So, well, actually it's not. The Senate bean soup. But I think there's enough ham in here to change that title. So that's fantastic. Okay, we'll just finish all this up, put it back in the pot, and there we go. Well, here we are at the moment of truth. I put all of that back into the pot, the mashed potatoes and beans and the ham, and let it sit there for another half an hour or so. I know the soup is going to be better, tomorrow as well. So it's going to just keep accumulating flavors. This is really one thick, beautiful, delicious looking soup. I'm going to taste it right now. I just had a tiny taste a minute ago, just checking that salt level. Mm. Mm. That is delicious. That is delicious. Those really meaty ham hocks really change the whole complexion of the soup. It's just full of ham. Oh man, this is really, really good. You've got to try this. So now I see why it's been on the menu so long in the U.S. Senate. I just wish with all my heart they would sit down and break bread together and come up with a way to really help the American people. So that's what they're there for. That's why we sent them there. So let's hope that this Senate bean soup can bring some people together, and I know you're going to love it on your table. So try it. And boy, was it easy. I hope you enjoy it. So if you want this recipe, you can just go to almost-martha.com and you'll find this along with all the other recipes that I've done. You'll also see an opportunity to sign up on YouTube, Almost Martha 21. You can get these videos as they drop. That would be terrific. But thank you so much for stopping by. And I hope you try this recipe. It's so easy. I don't know how you couldn't. Try it, try it. It's really good. Thanks for coming by, and we'll see you next time right here on Almost Martha.